This video will look at operations that you have within a programming language and also some common string manipulation methods. So an operator is something that will perform an action on some data. You could have arithmetic operations which perform calculations on data. You could have relational operators which will check to see how two pieces of data might compare. And you can have Boolean operators to check the truth of a statement. So with arithmetic operators, some of these are very straightforward and well known to you already: addition, subtraction, multiplication and division. However, there are two other division operators that you have to be aware of, and that's the modulo and quotient division operators. So let's have a look at those in a bit more detail. So when it comes to division, if you divide, you might get a fractional answer, and that's not always useful for a programmer. So if you have like a normal division done using the /, the result is a real number, a decimal. But so that programs can deal with the whole number part of a division, which is an integer, languages have an operator to perform a quotient division. And that is done using the div or percentage sign or backslash symbol, depending on the language. So for example, 10 div 3 equals 3, because 3 fits into 10 3 times. It's the whole number part of the division. And due to the above, programs may then also need to deal with the remainder, also an integer. So a remainder division, or a modulo arithmetic operator, when we use one of those, we might use mod or /, but when we use it, it works out the remainder of the division. So 10 mod 3 would become 1, because 3 fits into 10 3 times, but with a remainder of 1. So the answer would be 1 if we used the modulo operator on this division. Now, relational operators, they compare data and produce a result of true or false depending on how they compare. They're known as comparison operators, and the most common can be seen in this table. So we've got the double equal sign to check if something equates to something else, exclamation mark equal sign, whether it's not equal to. We've got the less than sign, the more than sign, less than or equal to, greater than or equal to. You probably have seen these before in maths. And you've got Boolean operators as well. So Boolean operators combined operands, so combine the data that are Boolean, so they're either true or false, and then the result is also Boolean. They're known as logical operators, and the three main Boolean operators are and, or, and not. Their operation is often described using truth tables to show the possible combinations of operands and their results. And the not operator has only one operand, whereas and or both have two. So remember, operands is the data that it's working on. So if you look at the not operator, there's only one operand here, only one bit of data, A. And if A is false, then the result of not A is the opposite, it's true. And if A is true, then the result of not A is the opposite, it's false. If we were to look at the AND operator, where we've got two operands, two bits of data, A and B, the result of A and B, using that AND operator, will only be true if both A and B are true. And if we were to use the OR operator, A or B will result in true if either they are both true or if one at least is true. However, if both A and B are false, then the result of A or B will also be false. So let's have a look at string manipulation, another facility of programming languages. Often we want to be able to manipulate strings in many different ways, and luckily there's a range of built-in functions in many programming languages that allow us to do this. So there are many different examples of string manipulation methods. There's so many that we couldn't possibly show them all here, but if we just have a look at a few basic ones that often come up in GCSEs, then we will be fine. So the length method will output the length of characters of a string. Substring will take two positions, two indexes within a string, so it might be index 1 and index 4, and it'll output the characters that are between those positions. The .upper method will output the strings in uppercase. .lower method will output the string in lowercase. Replace x and y will replace all instances of x, or whatever you give x, and replace it with y. The .count method will output the instances of whatever value you put in between its brackets and the string. .reverse will output the characters of the string in reverse order. .split will split the string up into a list, usually where there's spaces. That can be a very, very useful string manipulation method. Sometimes you can use the square brackets with a particular number, which will be the index, and what it will do is it'll output the character within a string at that particular index. And .strip will output the string, but with any instances of whatever value you put between the brackets removed from the front and end of the string. So let's have a look at some of these in action. If we had a variable with the string David, if we were to output name.substring02, it would output DAV, because it is outputting the characters between index 0 and 2. So as we start counting at 0, D is at 0, A is at 1, and V is at 2. Here's another example. So if we were to do name.length, it would output 5. There are 5 characters within that string, so that is what it counts, and that's what's outputted. Another example, if we had again the name David, put in a variable called name, if we output name square brackets 2, it will output the letter V, because that is the character that is in position, index 2 within that string. So position 3, but index 2, because we start counting at 0. And in this final example, if we had name.replace D with E, it would result in Davy, because the lowercase d will be replaced with the E. So you might be thinking, well, what about the capital D? Well, remember, in programming, characters D and capital D and lowercase d aren't the same. They've got different ASCII codes. So if we wanted to replace the uppercase D, that would have to be done separately. And that's it. There's a few examples there of some common string manipulation methods.